The world is ending, but these two goofballs don't care. Taylor and Kyle Opalk aren't here to help you. They're here to talk about nerdy stuff. Welcome to the apocalypse.
Howdy, y'all! Since I moved to Texas a couple years ago, I've adopted a Texan affectation, and that's one of the things I say now.
Yeah, I'm just out of pocket there. Okay.
We're doing the podcast as per weekly usual. This week, we watched a movie, and it is called Drag Me to Hell. This one was,
What?
I'll
at the top be like, why this one? Because you messaged me that you saw it recently, and it's like I always got to ask, what inspired you to pick this one out as one to watch?
Good question. So there's a couple things. Number one, it's spooky season, so Lauren has been watching horror movies, and
that's all right.
This is one. Yeah. So this is one that I've seen in the past. So another thing that made me want to rewatch this was I think this was a movie that I was too young and immature to understand. Not that I was that young, right? Like this came out in 2009.
Yes.
Yeah. So I was in my late teens, mid-teens kind of edgy phase where like goofy movies for the sake of being goofy were stupid and like, you know, I just like harder movies. Yeah. So this is a movie where I had an inkling because it's Sam Raimi, and I remember the reason I watched this when it came out all those years ago was because it was critically acclaimed, everyone loved it, and I remember watching it and being like, oh, that was kind of lame, because I was expecting an actually, gritty, scary demon possession movie, and that's just not at all what this movie is. So I had a feeling, I hadn't seen this literally since 2009, I had a feeling that this was a movie that I didn't appreciate appropriately for the time, since I've matured since then. This movie, and also not Cabin Fever, holy shit, that's the opposite of
wow,
that movie's garbage. Cabin in the Woods. Cabin in the Woods is the one I was thinking of.
That makes more sense.
So those two movies, they both came out within a couple years of each other. I think Cabin in the Woods might have also been 2009.
I think I was like in college.
Oh, it's 2011.
Yeah.
So those two movies specifically, I have rewatched Cabin in the Woods since it came out and was like, wow, this was so much more fun and better than I remember. And spoiler alert, Drag Me to Hell's in the same boat, and I was correct in my assessment that I think I did not appropriately assess it. So, long rambling point is that, yeah, it was just it's spooky season, and this is a movie I've wanted to revisit because I thought I would appreciate it, especially being a Sam Raimi movie. Like, he's so good.
So I need to know, the last time I heard from you about your Sam Raimi appreciation is that you think Spider-Man 2 is good, at least. I don't know if you still think
Spider-Man 1 and 2 are fucking amazing.
Okay, cool. That's what I thought. You hate Army of Darkness.
I've never seen Army of Darkness, so that can't be my opinion.
I don't want to say that can't be true because we've had a conversation. Because otherwise you're implying that I have made up a quote in my head that this is like in high school, because I had recently watched Evil Dead 1 and 2 and then Army of Darkness, and I hated Army of Darkness because of how cheesy it was. So I was going to ask if, I can't think of any of his other work outside of that I've named. Like, I don't know that you'd seen that much of his stuff, and besides Spider-Man. You having a positive opinion on him was kind of like, oh, I'm surprised you have any, like, feelings on him one way or the other, but it sounds like you do a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I have not seen Army of Darkness or any of those movies, so I don't know. I've seen the Evil Dead reboot or whatever it was.
Yeah, the
that
one
came out
around the same time, roughly the early 20s. Yeah, that was the guy who did the new Alien movie, Fede Alvarez.
Okay, yeah, I remember that one being like pretty creepy, but it might be bad in rewatch. Anyways, yeah, the only reason I know Sam Raimi is good is because of reputation. Other people love him a lot, and Spider-Man 1 and 2 genuinely are incredible movies. They're just really, really, really fucking good. So
I guess I'd never really appreciated your appreciation for those two in particular.
Right. Spider-Man 3, we'll just say doesn't count because I know that one had some immense studio meddling.
Yeah, everyone knows that one.
They made him make a bad movie he didn't want to make. So he's forgiven there. But otherwise, yeah, he has a pretty big filmography, and I've seen like 15% of his movies. I'm curious why you think I saw Army of Darkness. What did I say?
That you just thought it was really fucking annoying and it was stupid, like, and cheesy and like not interested, like, because it felt like something. I have a very strong memory of it because you were shocked at how bad it was because of almost the exact same thing I'm saying of like the his reputation should say otherwise, but it was like you stopped it like in the very early because you thought it was like it was unwatchably bad. That's like,
dude, I've never seen this movie, so
I mean, look, to be fair, you told me you turned it off in the very beginning, so you technically didn't really see it then either.
Yeah, it's a 90s Sam Raimi horror movie, so it's gonna be like over the top and ridiculous. And if I tried to watch it in high school, I certainly wasn't ready for that kind of thing. It's the same reason I didn't like Star Wars in high school, because it just looked so old and I didn't like it. But as an adult, like, there's so much to appreciate when you actually are mature enough to understand it.
Going into this movie, I love Sam Raimi. Like, up to that point, I had seen Evil Dead 1 and 2, and obviously Spider-Man 1 and 2 had already happened. And so I was on board for Sam Raimi, and because I'd seen Evil Dead 1 and 2, I knew that a lot of his horror is a lot more like gross out, kind of make you squirm more than it is about making you like recoil in like violent horror. That like I really liked this in high school, and I was one of those people that could tell everyone else, no, Drag Me to Hell was really good, you just didn't get it. Like you have to reset your expectations. It's like this weird movie that like is horrifying, but the like what you're watching, you don't feel you're kind of just like entertained horrified instead of like scared horrified.
Yeah, okay. So for those that don't know, Drag Me to Hell, it's a very simple movie. It's a Sam Raimi horror movie. I should have done this earlier, but whatever, we're doing it now. It's about a woman who basically gets a curse put on her by a gypsy, and it's like in 3 days you're gonna be literally dragged to hell. A demon is gonna come and pull you to hell, to punish you for what you've done. So the movie takes place over the course of 3 days, and it's this main character, Christine, played by Alison Lohman, which I didn't know who she was.
Yeah.
It's the course of her trying to figure out a way to not be swallowed to hell by a demon. And that's the whole movie. It's pretty simple. I
was gonna say is like I didn't give my official review on this because I still don't know exactly where I land, but I did like it, to be clear. And it's interesting because I picked up some subtext I think is in this movie that I didn't the first time through, and that's the main takeaway I had, was that like there's a lot of interesting stuff being said in here that I absolutely missed in the beginning. And then so that's the only thing I would have added to the prefect of this. I also did not recognize this woman from anything except this movie. I don't.
Yeah.
And it like the opening scene where she's like listening to some guy helping her enunciate made it sound like is she supposed to have an accent and she's trying to practice on how to not have an accent? I didn't know what like.
Yeah, she's supposed to have a southern accent, and she's trying to get rid of it because she's supposed to be the stupid farm girl that's got a southern accent. And she's trying to blend in.
Okay, now that actually is very relevant to the subtext of what I okay. That actually helps me understand that a little bit more. But it's actually really interesting. This movie really is, if you wrote out like what happens, like the novelization of it, this would be a super short story, because it's just she denies someone, gets a curse, tries to get decursed. It doesn't kind of go well. She kind of goes crazy. Then they think she gets decursed, and then the movie ends. Like that's kind of the whole thing. But there's a lot of cool sequences in it. Though I struggle a little bit with like my only real downside is kind of like the gypsy lady. I don't know how I'm supposed to feel about her as a character. So I don't know if there's anything you want to add before we kind of just move to where like the actual the movie like really starts with
Yeah.
like in the bank.
Well, if we want to do our usual and give our ratings fairly early, I gave this a 4 out of 5 with the trademark heart. I had such a blast watching this movie. Me and Lauren and Lauren's mom actually watched it with us, Deanne.
Oh, nice.
We were just like squealing and laughing, and it was just so much fun. It was so much fun.
See, because you know what I would say about what I always describe this to people is like if they did a remake of Evil Dead as a PG-13 possession movie instead of like a horror, like a body horror thing. It's got that same level of like kind of gross. Though this movie's way funnier, and I think that is something that it's very gummy. I think it's so funny. There's so much.
Dude, yeah. Getting gummed, yeah. So that was, I wanted to hit on that. That was the first part where we were all like, oh my God. It was so ridiculous. But yeah, I'm surprised this movie's PG-13. It's pushing the edge, I think, of being R. I think the only reason it's PG-13 is because there's not like body horror or gore. It's just really gross stuff, but nobody's like bleeding or getting body parts broken or anything like that.
Yeah, there's no violence. There is violence, but it's not. No one gets killed or even close to being like stabbed or broken bones or anything like that. It's hair gets pulled out. That's about as violent as that gets, you know. But
she has a bloody nose at one point, which I thought was so much blood. Yeah. But I guess like I think context matters for ratings. I'm not sure how it works, but she had this bloody nose, and it was, of course, like Sam Raimi style, where she tips her head back and it's just spraying out like a fucking hose. And gets blood all over her boss at work, all over the desk and the floor, like it's just spraying everywhere. But, you know, I guess contextually it's from a bloody nose. It's not blood as a result of violence. So maybe that's how you can go, oh, that's PG-13 blood. That's not R blood. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that it could matter. But let's spend the most of our discussion of this movie talking about that instead of...
Yeah, the nose bleeding bloody, nose bleeding
bloody.
So
Christine is a loan officer. And she's up for promotion, but she is fighting with her new colleague, which they try to emphasize. This guy still in training with her to get the like assistant manager position at the bank. So that's kind of the position she's in. And the circle back to the practicing her speaking, trying to appear more professional to try to get this. She's really trying to blend in and, like you said, to get that Southern kind of garbage out of her. So. She has the boss kind of talks, you know, she reminds him like, oh, have you made a decision yet? He talks about like, hey, can you make the hard decisions? That's the person I need, you know? And so that's planted in her head. And this gypsy woman comes in to get
which is a slur, right? The word gypsy?
It is now. I don't.
Or no. Well, yeah, I'm not sure.
It is. I'm going to Google that real quick. But the movie referred her that way. But yeah, I want to see. No.
I think she's referred to as a Romani woman, but she is a gypsy. Yeah. Whatever. We
don't need to say that.
We're not trying to be derogatory.
Anyway. We can just call her a Romani. It's fine. And honestly, there's not much more with her in it. Although I don't know her name, so I don't know how to refer to her. So anyway, while you're doing that.
Roma
is the gypsy woman's term. It's Roma, as in people from Romanian.
Okay, so it's a Romani woman. Yeah. Well, we're learning on the spot here how to not be racist. Sorry. Sylvia is her name.
Oh, that's easy. Sylvia.
Mrs. Ganoush.
Yeah,
Sylvia Ganoush.
Okay.
Continue.
Yeah, so she's coming in. It sounds like the bank is trying to foreclose on her home, and she's trying to get an extension. And more or less, she gives the sob story about being sick and, life has been really hard. Can you please, we can get the money, can we get a little bit of an extension? And it appears that there's already been 2 extensions on the loan. Christine goes and, asks, can we do anything? And the boss reminds her, hey, you kind of have to, we've already done it twice. You got to do the hard stuff here. But it's up to you to make the call. So she goes back and tells Sylvia, nah, sorry. We can't do it. The woman's pleading.
Notably, she blames her boss.
Yes.
The boss said no when it's actually her making the decision.
Yeah.
Which is important.
That is
the crux of the whole movie.
It's it's funny. I do this when you're describing the movie. It's so much easier to forget those important details, and the other person is just filling the edge. So I appreciate the edge filling in. And so the Sylvia is pleading about, just like, please, can you do anything? And Christine keeps
she's
kind of
literally
giving her
on her knees begging Christine. She's like grabbing her arm. Please, I beg you, I'm begging. And Christine gets like weirded out and she calls security over. And Sylvia is like, I'm begging you and you shame me? How dare you? And then she's, you're cursed, and does, like, I don't know.
She does steal,
rips,
like, a button gets ripped off her jacket as she's grabbing Christine. So that's the object that gets cursed, is, like, more or less that specific thing. Well, I guess that kind of happens later, but maybe that happens later. Because the curse isn't placed.
It does when they're fighting in the car, which is like...
Because that is the
so
follow-up to
funny.
this encounter, is that down there.
Yeah.
So I think she's planning on cursing this lady later in the day. That's more or less what she's saying.
I mean, she's clear, because she's camping out in the parking... Not the parking lot, parking garage. She's camping in the parking garage, Sylvia is, to basically ambush Christine and attack her. And... So that's what happens after her work day ends. She denies Sylvia the loan. Sylvia is, basically like, something bad's going to happen to you because of this. And then Christine goes to the parking garage to go home. And of course, spooky vibes start happening. She's kind of paranoid looking around. She sees this old car that she thinks Sylvia is going to be hiding in. And of course, like, Sylvia just is already in Christine's car, and just... this ridiculous fight breaks out between them, and it is just such a riot. It's so funny.
What I think first was very confusing to me was that the level of violence that Sylvia wants to enact is so jarring. Like, this lady is, like, going super violent, ripping this lady's hair. It's very chaotic, and I couldn't... Like, is she supposed to be, like, a super... like, an evil person all of a sudden? She goes from, like, being a very sympathetic, like, this lady is suffering, to being like, I am being possessed by evil energy and I need to kill you. It was just very, like, surprising.
That's true. The turn from her, from being, as an audience member, you're like, come on, Christine, just give her the fucking loan, to like, holy shit, Christine, kill this old lady.
Exactly. It's like, very weird.
She's very violent, but they set it up in a way where she turns to look at Christine as she's being escorted out of the building, and she's looking evil and mad.
That's true.
She specifies, like, I beg you on my knees, and you still shame me. So it's implied, like, okay, you kind of messed with the wrong person. Like, I just wanted help, and you shamed me.
Yeah,
like, that's it.
Okay. All right, Kyle,
You're done.
Convinced me. That's true.
So I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
Just because the tone of the whole movie it's very over the top.
You think that's over top? I think that's a pretty regular thing for movies to be doing. So I don't think you've seen very many movies, you uncultured swine.
Thank you. Yes. When so Sylvia is in Christine's car, and this is like, it's hard to describe, but as we're saying, the level of violence is suddenly, it's spiked, like, Sylvia is grabbing Christine from behind, pulling on her hair, trying to choke her. Christine is flooring the car. They smash into a wall. She's like punching, and it's just
stapling her in the face.
Yeah, she has a stapler in her car. She ends up like stapling the gypsy woman a bunch of... Sorry, that was so a Freudian slip there.
Yeah.
She ends up stapling her a bunch, ends up stapling one of her eyes closed, but there's no blood, so it's...
And like you can tell,
like,
the staple isn't all the way in. It's like the very edges of them are on like the tops of the eyelids. It didn't touch the like eyeball. It's just like, that's like the level of violence where it's like you could... There's no effects to make it look like it's very painful, more than it is... It's almost like a Three Stooges effect, but what if it was actually like painful?
That's a better way to describe the violence in this movie. It's like Three Stooges level. It's so ludicrous. And the thing is, like, it seems like neither party is really getting hurt. They're punching, they're kicking, they're screaming, they're wild, but
they all bounce back instantly from it like it was nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, so, there's a point where Christine, like, just fully kicks this woman in the chest, and she goes launching out the side of the car door, and then she, like, stands back up and breaks the window, and then, like, ducks under the car to hide, and Christine's locked in the car, and she's like, oh my god, where is it? It's like ratcheting up the tension, because now you don't know where Sylvia went, and it's just such a wild scene. It's such a riot. It's so fun, and it really sets the tone. So if you watch that scene and you get it, you go like, okay, I think I know what we're in store for this movie. And that's how it was for me this time around, was like, I was just dying laughing, and it was so much fun, and I was like, okay, this is going to be great. And there was a scene specifically where we were talking about gumming, where Sylvia has dentures in, and at one point she gets hit in the face or whatever, and her teeth go flying. Oh, it's when Christine floors the car and it like slams into a concrete pillar.
Yeah, that's
Sylvia
right.
from the back seat launches forward, and her face smashes on the dashboard, and her teeth, like in slow motion, her dentures like explode out of her mouth. And so after they kind of recover for a second after being dazed, Christine starts screaming, and Sylvia, with her big open mouth but with no teeth in it, she it's hard to describe, but she like bites Christine's jaw.
She latches onto her jaw, like, because
the
no
lower
teeth.
half of her jaw, but with no teeth, her gumming, toothless mouth just gnawing on Christine's open mouth that's yelling, but now she can't close her mouth because Sylvia is latched onto her lower jaw, and she's like, oh, yeah. It's
so absurd. And like when you're explaining
absurd.
You're reimagining it, and you're still laughing about it because it's so stupid.
Dude, it's so ridiculous, but God, it was just so funny and unexpected and fun, and oh my God.
Yeah, it's good. It's
Love
like,
that
I
scene.
think the movie is also paced very fast, so that you don't really get too often to like kind of a moment to breathe, which I think is intentional too. And I think that high speed of it can be kind of fun in its own way. I thought there was something else I wanted to say, but so while they're like tussling and stuff, like Sylvia keeps like half casting a spell. I had the subtitles on, and it says like in parentheses, like casting spell. So like it seems like that's the intention. Eventually, she in the tussle grabs a button off of Christine's jacket, finishes the actual spell cast. But I don't remember how the encounter ends. If Sylvia just disappears, or I can't.
Yes, remember. Sylvia literally disappears. So yeah, there's finally a somewhat of like a reprieve in the action. They're both kind of just there, and Sylvia manages to grab a button off of Christine's jacket, rips it off, and then she like has this look on her face like, I got you now, and she casts this spell on the button, and then
and now she
disappears.
Cursed to be, actually, Kyle, this is actually a good segue to what happens when the curse drags you to hell. Is that the movie has a cold open where a kid is cursed by this because he stole from this family. And so they show you that, like, the movie opens up with a kid being dragged to hell, which was...
I forgot about that, too. Yeah, that was another setting the tone of, like, oh, shit, this movie's just gonna go for it. All right, yeah, you literally see, like, a little boy fall off a balcony, and then, like, as he's trying to get back up, this portal to hell opens, and it drags him in, and the mother just helplessly watches.
Yeah, and, like, so that is also to set up more or less the, like, halfway point, people who know about the situation describing it, you know what I mean? It's setting up that priest lady to be the, like, I needed to, finish what I started I didn't have the strength to finish back in the day, so I forgot that is the connection there. Between the cold open this is the same family.
Honestly, it's not super relevant.
It probably isn't now I think about it.
They could have gone without the cold open at all, and just, later we'll get there, but Christine ends up going to a fortune teller guy who then is like, hey, I know this lady who's like good at this stuff, and she might be able to help you get rid of this demon.
Oh, that's a fair point.
That would have been just as equal of an introduction to the demon,
now
to the lady.
We can save that conversation for later, because I could argue that it allows the character to make a choice of like the sacrificial choice make more sense, because it's like I didn't save this person. So like I think that might be why they added it. Just so it makes sense why would this random lady who's about to get you killed, like that's my only thought on it. But it's not really relevant.
Yeah, no, that's very fair.
So now that she's been officially cursed is where this movie is a jump scary movie. It is definitely trying to like get you on a couple of those. It happens a lot of fake outs, a lot of the whole sequence you were watching wasn't actually happening. Or you're not sure if it's real or not. I'm not even sure.
I think the whole thing was real.
Happened. But I actually want to. This is a time to bring up my point of, you know what this movie is, Kyle? It is someone who is a rape survivor. So the movie starts off with this event. She's attacked in the basement and the perpetrator leaves, and she has no proof it happened except her word. And the movie is a series of all of the hauntings are just like the triggers that remind her of her attack and the reaction to it. And what I think is really great is the movie has Justin Long in it and her supportive partner and he has a lot of phrases of like, I just believe you, and I'm just here to, I promise to like support you and get you through this. And there's a lot of people who tell him to like, she's crazy, cut her off. And he's like, no, this is what you do. You just help them through this stuff and believe that it happens, even though there's no proof. And I'm skeptical. It's like, but I'm not going to treat you like you're lying to me because you believed it happened. It's happening. I see that it is haunting you. So I just thought that was a really interesting, that's kind of what this movie is, but instead of it being presented in the physical real world, it's
this is why I feel so fucking dumb. But I guess that's what makes our partnership here so good. Is that that seems very surface level deduction, but also in my head I'm like, holy shit, you're brilliant. That's an amazing insight to have. But the more you talk about it, it's like, wait, why didn't I see that? But yeah, wow, that's 100% correct. That feels exactly like what all this is.
And yes. I even want to bring up when they do go to Justin. I can't think of her partner's name. There's only 3 characters in the movie, and I don't know his name.
Yeah.
But when they go to his Clay's house and they have dinner with his parents, there's some other things in there of about identity and kind of her how she viewed Sylvia, how Christine viewed Sylvia in the beginning is how this even nicer family views her, and how much of her identity she's suppressing to fit in, and they still pick at you, and I don't know, there's a lot of really kind of mirroring of wow, I can't believe just because I'm in a better spot that I'm trying to demonize these people in their position, even though anyone could be in their position, and we should treat them like how we would want to be treated in that same position. And the movie doesn't hit you over the head with it because, I mean, they kind of do because the mom's a bitch. You're not supposed to like her. But it mirroring how Christine ends up treating Sylvia is not head over the head. But it's something that I thought was a cool.
Yeah, no, that's great points. Great points.
So those are the big things that, like I said, I didn't have a lot to say other than this stuff was cool, but those 2 kind of themes I saw as just cool.
What I walked away from this movie thinking is the message here is you should just be nice to people. It's yeah, okay. I mean, you know what?
I think my stuff backs up. You know what, Kyle? You are right. That is there. That is the message. Good job.
It's a true message of the golden rule, an enforcement of just treat others how you want to be treated, man. Just be nice to people. You never know. You never know what someone's going through. You never know how they feel. Just be nice. Be sympathetic. And I also think, weirdly, I just want to finish my thought. This movie, that message hit harder in this time more than ever, where there's just so much outward and open hatred to everyone and everything. That this movie was made in 2009, but watching it in 2025, I was like, wow, I think people should watch this movie because number one, it's a lot of fun. It's just a good old time. So it's a movie that it gives you just those fun vibes. It's a gross out horror movie, but at the same time, it is just so much fun. And number 2, despite all that, it does have a message of just be fucking nice to people, man. You don't know them. Just be nice. I think that resonated more.
Yeah, and I'll touch about the ending because I think the ending. I have some thoughts about it, but
we'll get there. We got a long way to go.
So, and then this is the classic Apocalypse podcast name change pending. A sequence where there's basically 3 or 4 sections I remember, but the order in which they happen is not clear in my brain.
Okay. So, but one thing I want to say too, I'll try to keep us on track here if you're just trying to get
Yes.
us on to the next section. So after this, after Sylvia pulls the button off of Christine's coat and curses her, this is where we are introduced to Clay, Christine's boyfriend, who's played by Justin Long. Something I wanted to note is that it was relieving to see Justin Long as a nice guy. Maybe I'm misremembering, but I feel like he's always playing a kind of slimy little douchebag, and in this movie, he's just a genuinely sweet dude.
Yeah, I will say that he's usually typecast, and especially in a lot of horror movies. Though I'd say Weapons, he's kind of neutral. But I will agree that
he's
in a lot
Weapons?
Yeah, he has a little cameo in Weapons. When Josh Brolin's character is talking to that woman to get her cam footage of her kid running out.
Yeah.
And that's specifically a cameo because he is a big horror guy, and he was in Barbarian, which was the director's previous thing,
right?
Where he plays
that's
a
the
literal.
One he was an asshole.
Not just an asshole. He was a rapist. He raped somebody.
Right, yeah.
So he was a full-on monster, and like in Tusk, another horror movie, he plays a really big piece of shit. He's typecasted as kind of a smug dick a lot of times. I will agree.
Yeah, okay, because he's got. It's like his voice and the way he acts he plays that kind of slimy dude who you want to get punished very well. And he does great reaction looks, and he just has this energy about him where like he's a great actor to play that role of like the guy who's an asshole and you want to see punished and you're glad when he is.
Yeah.
Something about I don't know you know what I'm saying? It's like, it's hard to articulate, but Justin Long does that so well. I really love him.
He's really underrated as like, I think a lot of people see him as like, just like, oh, I like him, but I'm like,
he's the B-movie horror guy.
Yeah, I just think he's good in really stuff. And and this one, especially his ending reaction to when, how the movie ends, I think he is great. And I agree. I love that this boyfriend is a genuine good person. Like,
yeah, he's even fighting against his parents, who are these stuck-up rich assholes who have outright said, like, we don't want you dating her because she's a farm girl. She's a stinky old dirty little farm girl. You need to be dating a rich, nice lady. And he's like, Mom, like, I love her. She's my girlfriend. Chill. Yeah. So he's a good dude. And I think one note I want to make is I like that this movie paralleled Nosferatu, Nicholas Hoult in Nosferatu. Nicholas Hoult is the same way. He always plays a fucking piece of shit asshole.
You're right.
And in Nosferatu, he's just a genuinely good dude who cares for his like mentally disturbed wife. He just wants her to be healthy and happy, and he's trying to take care of her. And it's like the character pairings in Nosferatu versus Drag Me to Hell are like almost identical.
Yeah, I actually hadn't thought of that, but yeah, that's an interesting parallel because I agree with that completely.
But yeah, anyway, so this is where we were introduced to Justin Long, Clay, and this is when Christine, she's like walking home with Clayton, whatever that is his name. I don't know why I called him Clayton. She's walking home with him and just kind of, she sees a fortune teller and spur of the moment. She's like, wait, I need to go in and get my fortune told. And he's like, what? Why? What are you doing? She's like, just trust me. I have to go do this. And this is where we're introduced to Rom, who's the British fortune teller who, ends up helping Christine for the rest of the movie.
Mm-hmm. He's kind of the connection to the more mystical parts of the world, that kind of Gap character.
Yeah. So he ends up telling Christine's fortune, and of course has the typical reaction of like lurching away as he sees what's happening, and he's like, "Oh my god, you have a dark spirit. You're
icky. Your soul's
you're
so
kind
icky."
Yeah, you're fucked, man. You got to get out of here.
And this is where some of the movies it is a little, I don't say tropey, but like it's not. The way the story unfolds is not necessarily, you could predict how the movie ends and kind of what they do in the middle, but the actual...
honestly, I think the ending is an amazing twist.
I would say, like, if you could predict that being an ending, is what I'm saying. Now, you wouldn't expect it, especially with the, like, you know... You get tricked at the end because they really do set it up. It's going to go one way, and then it's a hard pivot at the end. But, like, someone could predict it. I'm saying it's not something you wouldn't have thought of, right? Like, you could have foreseen that ending. You didn't think it would happen. But my point being, it's just, like, not the most unique in terms of, like I said, the on paper description of the plot beats, but it's what that happens in those moments that is very refreshing and well done, which is what elevates it, I think, and is hard for me to, like, I don't know, give it like a 4 or a 5 in my head, because like it's pretty cool. It's just like the way that they show the possession stuff happens and the scares are really fun and unique. But like, you know, these characters and kind of what they tell them, it's like all very of the genre.
Yeah, I guess this part of the movie is what would be is hard to talk about, really, because it is pretty typical horror movie stuff where she's now cursed slash, you know, it's sort of, she's not kind of possessed, I don't know, a demon is following her around, right, and torturing her. And this is the whole premise of the movie, is she's just trying to survive for a few days. She has a deadline to get rid of this curse, and that's the movie. It's counting down to the deadline. So it's pretty simple. So in the middle days, of course, she's just like being tortured. You know, a demon shows up at her house and destroys stuff and throws her around, and she's getting spooked and scared, and then it ends up disappearing. And then the next day she gets tortured again. But in between these moments is when she's trying to figure out how to get rid of this demon, and that's when the fortune teller comes into play. She ends up going back to him, I think, at some point, and basically says, like, look, this shit is escalating, I need help. And he's like, you know what? I think I know somebody that can help you. And this is the woman from the cold open in the beginning. It's been 40 years since the beginning opening sequence that took place in the 70s. Or late 60s, 1969 specifically, because 40 years later is 2009, the date of the movie.
Sure.
So the mom in the beginning is 40 years older now, and she's kind of an older lady, but this is what you were saying earlier that gives her motivation to want to help more, because she failed and her son got dragged to hell way back when. So now she's extra motivated to try to help Christine, because this is the exact same curse and the same demon. And she's like, holy shit, like I have to do this. I have to succeed. I need to make it up to my son and myself for failing. Like I have to help. So she's very, I guess saying this out loud, it does make the beginning better and more relevant. It is a very believable and good motivating factor for, I don't know what you would call her. She's not a priest. Female priest?
No,
I don't know.
There's a medium is usually what these people are called. The people who could speak to ghosts, or, you know, that type of thing. I will say that I think then this middle section, though, with the descent of Christine, is that this is where that they go to dinner with her his parents, and there's a lot of talk of, like, when Christine knows about, like, goose eggs and, like, when's the best time to make eggs with this, they were about how yolky this, like, you can tell that she's from the country, and how kind of condescending they constantly are to Christine, even though
you're referring to, so you want to talk about the dinner party.
Yes, because this happens before.
Not the party. It's just Christine meeting Clay's parents.
Yeah, because this happens before, because, like, you're kind of at when they actually meet the medium, that's where the climax happens.
I guess so, yeah.
So I just wanted to okay, now crap. I had it, and then I got derailed on this train of thought. But
sorry, her Clay's parents being really demeaning and condescending.
But, like, there's a lot of where Christine becomes now the position of Sylvia, and of being kind of like the way she looks and presents looks kind of like a hillbilly backwards, like, you aren't as evolved as we are. And I think that helps humanize Christine a lot of, like, maybe, you know, this whole, like, when you talk about treating other people well and nice and stuff, is this, like, kind of slow realization for her of, like, I know how I am, and, like, you can tell, like, how put together she is, and she can run be arguably running a bank, and she also knows all this stuff that doesn't make her better or worse. And I think it's just such a fun little writing kind of character moment that I like that. I like this whole sequence too. It's so, and, you know, of course, because of Sam Raimi, Christine ends up bringing this cake
to bringing a cake as sort of a, like, hi, I'm Christine, here's a cake, let's have this for dessert later. But it's kind of an ugly cake. It's this upside down cake. It's a looks like a fruit cake. How many times can I say cake in the span of 30 seconds?
Keep going.
It's like an upside down fruit cake with just sort of loose icing on it. So it is really not a pretty cake, but I would eat the shit out of it. It looks great. But also, because this is Sam Raimi, that fucking cake is a Chekhov's gun. Something's going to happen with that cake, because they wouldn't be showing it otherwise. And of course, later there's a real gross out fucking scene with the cake. But yeah, the scene is as you said, it's a great sort of twist or parallel of what Christine was doing to Sylvia earlier, and now...
And even to a greater extent, the people watching the movie to Sylvia... Because, like, they do show her with the, like, kind of gross nails, and, like, they really emphasize, like, look at how ugly and out of place this woman is.
Yeah,
and
true.
Now they're starting to turn it a little bit. It's like, Christine is a good-looking actress. Like, there's no way around that, right? Like, everyone, she's conventionally attractive, but now is kind of being compared to Sylvia to people that I would say are not attractive. You know what I mean? It's just... But the other thing that I want to, this is the other theme that I think comes kind of, that happens at the same time, is there's a lot of triggers in this sequence of, like, kind of the attack. And these, like, panic attacks are kind of supposed to parallel, like, or PTSD that a real survivor of a rape would have, And the reaction of disgust at the parents are grossed out because she's inconveniencing the party. Just Clay is upset because his girlfriend is going through something I found that to be another moment of them. She's showing a moment of vulnerability and is now being, security, get her out. That's exactly what the mom does in the equivalent here of like, you guys need to go. She needs to leave kind of thing.
Man, that's so true.
And then, she does get escorted out, granted by someone who cares about her instead of security, but and then she goes to Sylvia's house afterwards to try to beg for forgiveness, and they laugh at her face, and it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But
another point I want to emphasize too about Clay just being like a good guy, which I'm very glad they wrote him this way, because in 2009, this was prime time for horror schlock where characters don't believe one another, and that's what makes them get into, a sticky situation where it's like, holy fuck, I just escaped a monster, and the dude's like, no, you didn't, you idiot, watch, and then he goes and walks into the bad spot and then dies. That's typical character writing, and in this movie, they really went against the grain.
Yeah,
and so, in this scene. With the cake, it starts like moving on its own, and Christine's freaking out, looking around like, is anyone else seeing this? And they're all eating their cake, happy as can be. And suddenly an eyeball pops out of Christine's cake and is like looking at her, and she ends up stabbing it. And then the cake it sucks her fork into it, so then she loses her fork, and she's like, what the fuck? And then a door down the hallway starts like banging, and a voice is talking to her like, I'm coming for you, Christine. And she's like, shut up, and throws it. So it escalates really fast, and of course everyone around her isn't hearing or seeing any of this, so they just think she's crazy. But during this scene, she's sort of building panic, and Clay clocks this. He kind of sees, like, are you okay? Because she starts saying weird stuff too, because she's trying to like compartmentalize what's happening and stay calm, but is kind of... She even says, she specifically says, like, did you guys just hear that? And Clay's like, no, what are you talking about, sweetie? So he can see she's starting to basically, like, she's about to have a panic attack or a trigger.
Yeah.
And so it could go one of two ways. He could go like, holy shit, she's crazy. But they don't do that. The other way that they go is he immediately, like, stands up and runs to her as she's freaking out and throws the glass down the hallway and screams at the door at nothing. From their perspective, he embraces her and like, he's like, hey, are you okay? What's going on? And it was just like, it's very touching and it was very, very sweet. And I'm really, really glad that they wrote his character like that. And I think they kind of had to, because his parents are so despicable and such, upturned nose, high and mighty pieces of shit that it's like, you couldn't also have his character do that, because it would be too much. Like, Christina's already being haunted by this demon, and then the parents hate her, and it's like, I guess it makes sense from a narrative perspective that they wouldn't want to just completely beat her down, but it's great that they used Clay as the vehicle of support here. And as you said, this being an allegory for a rape victim survivor, I think me missing that is embarrassing, but also, like, it just makes so much more sense how this whole movie played out.
Yeah, I think that's what makes it good, is that I think it is easy to miss, because in a lot of ways the movie is making manifest what it would be like to maybe experiencing it, and you are empathizing this, right? As this is the point of view character, you get to feel their emotions, and that's what it is like to them. So, and from the outside, a lot of people would be the parents of that situation, of they're being really loud, weird, and annoying, and you have no proof of this,
They would even be from Clay's position too.
Yeah.
It's like, this is what your partner would look like. From the outside, they would just look completely unhinged and mentally unstable. But if you believe them, that's what's important.
And what I think is even better is the movie highlights that he doesn't for a long time even believe the things that she's saying is true, but he believes in her. He still doesn't. Yeah. But he believes
even to the end.
In her, and that she is experiencing these things, and he just wants to help her. Like, it doesn't matter whether he thinks it's true or like what she's experiencing is what she says it is. It's like, but she's feeling these things for real, and that's what matters. And like, that to me is a sign of like it's that extra layer and what makes this person good. And like, I think a lot of people might not see why that's different than someone just like saying like, "Are you okay?" Because that's not what he's doing. It's like he is really trying to reach her in those moments, and it's what makes the ending, I think, even more powerful and crazy.
That is exactly what I was going to say, is that it is actually it's just such a well-written film. See, all this stuff we're talking about, it has a bunch of subtext, it has a bunch of alternate meanings, and we like the way the characters are developed, but it all works in favor of the movie too, because it all builds to the end. And if Clay wasn't such a nice, supportive guy, it wouldn't the ending would not have hit the same way. If she didn't have this thing to fight for and this loving partner. So we'll get there, momentarily, I suppose. But all of this stuff works so in favor of the movie, and it doesn't feel, as you said earlier, it doesn't feel ham-fisted. You're not being hit over the head with anything, but if you kind of look for this stuff, it really elevates this movie further. So, of course, the dinner ends with her screaming at a monster in a closet that nobody else can see, and Clay kind of like walks her out of the house because, he can't recover from this. It's like, all right, she's going through some stuff, parents, sorry. And this is where Christine goes back to I was about to say prophet. What's his name?
The psychic?
Psychic, yes. Goes back to the psychic and is like, okay, shit is escalating. We need to do something about this. And that's when she's introduced to the cold open.
Yep. Because once again, he basically says it's got. Also at this point, she has killed her own cat to get this curse to stop. Like, that's how. Because there was like an offhand comment about sacrificing a living creature to this will make it stop.
I forgot.
And that she does this.
Well, she said it might make it stop. He specifies, like,
it might, yes.
People have sacrificed, you can try to appease this thing with something else. So, like, sacrificing a pet or something else could do it. And, of course, they've shown that Christine has a cat, this movie. One thing I want to point out is Lauren caught this, which I thought was pretty good. Christine kills her cat and buries it in the backyard.
Completely
you don't
off
see
screen.
the cat killed. You see her like looking at the cat, pick up a knife, and then you hear the cat screech, and then it cuts to like you see its leg poking out of some dirt as she's like covering it, so she killed it. At one point, she's mad because I'm just gonna call him the prophet because I can't remember the name of whatever
psychic.
The fuck he is. Fortune teller, Jesus. What the fuck is wrong with my brain?
Good question.
she tells the prophet, she's like, I killed the stupid cat. Like, why is this thing still haunting me? And he's like, I told you it might work. I didn't tell you it was a guarantee. And I was like, why is she referring to her pet as the cat? Like, that's so heartless. Mm-hmm. And Lauren was also equally upset. Like, oh my God, of course they have to kill the fucking kitty. Yeah. But she's like, you know what? She is a farm girl, though. And I was like, oh yeah. There's like stray cats in barns and shit. Like as a farm, you grow up on a farm, you just have a level of, callousness towards animals.
Or it's more that,
like, oh,
you know that's like, the other thought I had about that.
It's more pragmatic. Yeah. They're just trying to solve some problems. And it's like, yeah, I know you're a living creature. I love you. I'm sorry. But it's got to be done.
Yeah, and like,
that's kind of how their attitude is.
Think about it this way. This is another example of how the text works on a surface and a subsurface level, is that at some point you can also think of it as like, almost like she's trying to dehumanize this thing to distance her, so like she can make like the like surviving choice of like, it was him or me because I'm in fight or flight mode. And when she kind of even, because Justin Long points out, or Clay points out to her, is like, like, what do you mean the cat? There's your cat. And she's like, oh no, there's strays that come in and out all the time. Like, but this was, you're talking about your cat like it's a stray. What happened? And it's like trying to distance yourself. So
yeah.
Everything in this movie is happening, like she's pushing off all of the agency off of her, right? Think about, like, she could have made the choice to do the right thing but she wanted that promotion and she blamed her boss for it. It's like, that's the kind of, I think, parallel there is like another one of those kind of like, she won't even admit what she has, like, she can't even come to say and just be honest and be like, I had to do something to survive and this is what I had to do. So I don't know. I don't know what it's necessarily saying, but that is just an interesting.
No, that's a good thing you said. Yeah, pushing the agency off of her. She keeps having to.
I'm a good person because I wouldn't do this unless something else made me do it. So it's not my fault.
And it's not my pet. It's just a cat, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, no, that's a good point, because that comes back in the end where Christine finally admits, like, Clay, I need to tell you something. Because even to Clay, she pushes the narrative that her boss made her reject this the Romani woman's loan request. And so at the very end of the movie, she's like, Clay, I have to admit it, like, it was me. I made the choice. But I'm really sorry. I understand now, etc. So of course you understand now that you're saved. Wink, wink. So yeah, she ends up killing the cat trying to do this, and this part was really funny where she's like, she goes back to the fortune teller, and he's like, okay, I have someone who can help you, but it will come at a great cost. And she's like, oh my God, what is it? And he's like, $10,000. It's so funny. Yeah. And she's like, okay. So then this kind of pushes us to the climactic scene where she meets with the medium, and this is also the scene where Clay fully articulates what we've been saying, right? Like he drives Christine to this old mansion, which I think is presumably from the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, it definitely is.
And he's like, "Are you sure you don't want me to go in there with you?" And she's like, "No, he said I need to do this by myself." Which again, allegory to rape victim survivor. Yeah. It's like you gotta overcome it yourself. It's about you. So, good point there. But she ends up asking him point blank. She's like, you think this is happening to me, right? And he's like, I believe you. Because he paid, actually, because Christine, there's a sequence of her trying to sell everything and pawn a bunch of stuff, and she just like can't make enough money. She can't get together the $10,000 to pay this medium, and so Clay ends up paying for it, because he says point blank, like, yeah, I believe you. I'm not seeing what's happening to you, but I believe you, and I think it is happening to you, so I believe you. So. It's very sweet. He ends up paying the cost for this and drops her off and drives away as she goes into the mansion. And this is where, they do a seance. They summon the demon, which is named Lamia, which I thought is suspiciously close to labia. You guys do with that information. Okay. So they summon the demon that they find is named Lamia, and there's a bit of back and forth here. I can't even remember here because, like, it's the fortune teller, Christine, the medium lady from the beginning of the movie, and there's this other random guy who's like there just to help. He's basically he's the one that's supposed to kill the goat. That's the whole thing they're doing is they're summoning this demon. The medium is going to have the demon possess her, and then she's going to touch the goat, and it transfers the demon spirit into the goat. And then this other guy with the fucking sword is going to kill the goat, which kills the demon. That's the whole plan.
Yep.
It's quite convoluted, but that's what's going to happen. This part was weird because they summon the demon, and at one point the medium is like, "Oh my god, this isn't the Lamia," and then it turns out that it is the Lamia. So I don't really know why they had that sequence. I can't remember anymore. This part was just so wild. So much shit was happening. It was hard to...
I'm not 100% on it either. I call this is the part of the possession movies I always clock out at, the CGI fest where like all the spooky, scary stuff happens and someone gets possessed and they get the scary voice and like, but this was entertaining enough. It's just like, this is like very kind of tropey to me.
Well, It was funny because the guy with the sword who's supposed to kill the goat ends up getting possessed. So, all right, the medium summons, they do the ritual, they see a bunch of spirits, and then the demon actually comes and possesses her, and then she touches the goat, and then the guy walks over to try to kill the goat, but then the goat ends up biting him in the hand, so then the demon goes from the goat to the guy with the sword. This part was kind of fun where he's like, floating around in the air and he's like kind of dancing and wiggling his arms and his legs, but you can see it's the actual actor being like hoisted around on a wire, right? But it was fun to see like not a CGI thing flying around. It was an actual dude with makeup on going like like doing this little dance.
A little gremlin, yeah.
Yeah. So, it's a possession scene. Shit goes flying around. People are getting thrown all over the place. It's a demon possession scene. But what ends up clinching the whole thing is the medium is like, I don't know what to do, and the fortune teller is like, you have to banish this spirit, which costs her life, but she's like, you know what, okay, I'll do it. So she ends up casting the spell, doing this thing, and banishes the demon. However, we're told then by the fortune teller that like, well, all she did was banish it back to hell. It's still coming after you, Christine. Sorry. And she's like, what the fuck? Like, what was the whole point of this? But the medium ends up sacrificing her life. That's the whole thing. She ends up sacrificing her spirit to banish that spirit, the demon, back to hell. But then the fortune teller's like, yeah, sorry though, it's still coming after you. But there's one more thing you can do. You can gift the possessed or the cursed button to somebody else. He's like, this is the last option you have. Because, the button, how it works is it's cursed and it's the owner, it's whoever owns the cursed object. And because Christine owns the button, it's part of her coat, she's the one that's being hunted by the Lamia. So the fortune teller is like, you can gift this to somebody. It has to be gifted, a true ritual. It can't just be like, here, take it. It has to be like a birthday present or something. You have to truly gift it to them. And Christine is like, why wouldn't you have told me this earlier? And he's like, well, because you're condemning someone else to hell. And then I am now your accomplice too for telling you this. So like, it's a big deal to just give. It's not a simple thing to just gift this to somebody else because you're damning them to hell. And she's like, oh, fuck, I guess
and
you're right.
And let's clarify, for eternity, too. It's not like you're killing somebody. It's like, and then they'll also be tortured for the rest of time as we know it. So,
yeah. So he's like, you better make sure it's somebody who really deserves it. So, of course, everyone's first thought is like, oh, her coworker, Stu. He's a slimy little fucking shithead. So, yeah, then she goes to a diner, and she's just kind of looking around, and she ends up seeing this old guy who's on oxygen, and she like kind of thinks, oh, maybe I should give it to him. And she kind of starts to walk towards him, and then the old guy's wife shows up with a piece of cake, and they're just this loving little couple. And she's like, fuck yeah, I can't give it to that guy. Come on. And so then she ends up calling Stu. Stu shows up at the diner, and he basically, we forgot this plot detail. It's minor, but she finds out that like Stu basically sabotaged her at work one way or another. And so she finds that out, and she's like, I'm going to tell your dad that you, like, intentionally sabotaged this, and you fucked over the bank, you fucked over me, you're in trouble. And he comes to the diner and he's just like sniveling and crying, and you can see he's like really pathetic and he's just a little loser, and he's got his job from nepotism. So like he's really, it's not even necessarily his fault that he's this little wimp because his daddy takes care of everything
Hold on,
for him.
Kyle.
And so she's like,
whoa. There is no relation between the owner of the bank and Stu. They're different races for one thing. That guy is
no. The owner of the bank is going to be different than the manager of the bank.
Okay, that's fair. I guess I didn't realize that there was nepotism. I didn't realize that that's why he's being accelerated so fast. I must have missed those lines.
I mean, maybe I'm misremembering too, but there was an implication that like this guy is just this snivelly little rat because, you know, he doesn't really have to try for stuff, and he just gets handed everything, and other people like, fix his problems for him.
My impression was just that he would just do whatever it took to win, and so he stole the lead of this big loan from Christine and gave it to the competing bank, and like, so it was like, that's the impression I got. Wasn't that he was like, it was a nepotism, like he doesn't do anything, but it's that he only cares about himself and will throw anyone under the bus if he gets what he wants, which lines up with how he apologizes to Christine and she forgives him by the end because she doesn't give him the cursed object because she sees how like how miserable this guy is, and she's like, I can't do this to someone else. And then you find out later that Stu then goes from this meeting to the bank manager to rat out Christine to say that she did all of that stuff that he just
to sabotage him.
But thankfully it you know. Anyway, she doesn't end up giving it to him.
No, she doesn't. She realizes she can't go through with it, so she's like, you know, but she has this last second idea of, wait, can I gift this button to a dead person? Because another detail we missed is Sylvia. And this is another great gross out scene, but Sylvia, the woman who cursed Christine to begin with, ends up dying. This is earlier in the movie when Christine goes to Sylvia's house to beg her to get rid of the curse. This is like one of the first couple things she tries to do after she kills the cat and it doesn't work. Then she ends up going to Sylvia's house. Maybe it's before this, but anyways, she's like, please, like, you know, I stop this. And it's Sylvia's granddaughter maybe that answers the door, and she's like, oh, you're the woman that my grandma cursed, huh? Like, you know, fuck you. And she's like, please, like, I gotta talk to Sylvia. And she's like, fine, come on in. And she goes in and realizes like it's a funeral is being held for Sylvia because she died. So they're doing this Romani traditional funeral where Sylvia's body is just in the middle of the room out in the open. And of course, Christine tries to I can't remember how, but she ends up like tripping and knocking over the body, and it falls on her, and it's like doing the mouth gumming thing again because she's screaming and the body. God. It's really funny. It's a crazy scene.
Three Stooges, so like I said.
Yeah, it is. It's Three Stooges level of goofiness, but it's so fun. So fast forward to the end of the movie again. She's like, "Can I gift this to a dead person?" And the fortune teller's like, technically, the Romani believe, or not the Romani, but I guess just like what does he say? The soul is eternal. It never leaves the body, or something like that. Or it's always connected to the body. So technically, like, you're just gifting this to the soul of the person. So yeah, you could do it. You could gift your button to a dead person. And so she's like, that's it. That's my plan. It's like, go return this button to the person who gave it to me. So then she goes to the graveyard. This is one very, very specific trope that always bothers me. Scenes where somebody has to dig, and they dig like multiple days worth of dirt in 30 minutes.
Yep.
The shit always bothers me. She is fully digging out 6 feet down a casket. That would take like a fucking 4 people 8 hours to do. And she's just like, she goes there and it cuts to her digging it all up by hand. I'm like, what the? Okay, whatever.
She worked on a farm, Kyle.
Okay, yeah, that makes her superhuman. I forgot. That's just, you know.
Yeah, it's not. That's a.
We'll call that a Kyle critique because I do that shit
the
all the time.
KK.
Stupid little, the old little nitpicky stuff. But it's one of those things that they just never get right. but it's in service to the movie, and it creates, of course, another very funny scene. A storm happens, and water comes pouring in. Just like thousands of gallons of water are pouring into this thing as it's raining, and it's a Three Stooges level thing where the casket like opens and then the body's floating, and it keeps like getting on top of Christine, and she's having to throw it off, and she's trying to shove the button back down into the mouth of Sylvia's dead body, and she literally says at one point, "Choke on it, bitch," and like tries to get it in her mouth. It's just so ridiculous and funny, but she ends up succeeding and like gifting, quote unquote, the button back to Sylvia. I've been talking for a while, so you take over here. What happens after this?
I mean, there's basically only one kind of scene left. She gets a call from the manager saying that, like, hey, Stu tried to rat you out. We know what he did. When you come to work on Monday, that assistant manager job is yours. She goes and buys a new coat and gets rid of her old one that was cursed, and she's meeting her lovely boyfriend at the train station.
So they're going to go on a little honeymoon or vacation.
Yeah, because he's like, hey, let's get away for a weekend. You obviously are very stressed out, yada, yada, yada. So they're meeting up, and then he's like, oh, before we get on the train, I wanted to give you something, and it's an envelope. And earlier in the movie, she had given him a very rare, he's a coin collector. He's a nerd. They make a little fun little thing that he collects rare coins, and she works at the bank. So when a rare coin comes in, she can kind of be like, oh, hey, look, I got another one for your collection. And they both had put separate round objects into blank envelopes, and they had earlier dropped slammed on the brakes, so all the papers were.
I want to interrupt. I wish we set this up better, but the button, her cursed button, is in a plain white envelope, but that's also the same envelope that the quarters are in, because at work, Christine will take a quarter, just put it in an envelope because they have a ton of them just to carry it, and then she ends up bringing the envelope. Hey, I got you another coin. I wish we set it up better, but this whole time, Christine has had her button in a completely characterless white envelope. And yeah, there's a scene in the car, which is not even too relevant, but yeah, like he ends up slamming on the brakes and like a bunch of papers go flying onto the floor of the car, and Christine ends up like, oh my God, I need my button. And he's like, yo, relax, it's okay. And then she ends up finding the envelope with the button in it. She's like, oh, thank God. Well, wink, wink, nod, nod. Here's what comes next. So, sorry, that's what we should have set up earlier. The button was in a white envelope. The quarters are also in white envelopes. Go ahead.
So then he's like, oh, hey, here's your button back. Is this kind of symbolic, like, gesture to be like, hey, this was yours. And then she's backing up, freaking the fuck out, knowing what this would imply. Yeah, and she falls back because he's giving the gift back. Because the idea, I guess, is that she's always had it. She never gave it away. And so she falls backwards onto the tracks. And he's freaking out and giving a very compelling panic. And a train's coming in. Yeah. And then the ground, the rubble beneath, or the gravel is opening up to hell as the arms are pulling her down into hell. And she's begging for someone to help her. And then right as the train goes over where she would have been, she's fully dragged into hell, her face melting on the way down. And then the train goes over, it like is just a crash, like a locked in close up of Clay's face, freaked out, and then the movie just ends and it just says drag me to hell.
Yeah.
It's so what do you think of the ending? I want to know what your thoughts are.
I mean, I fucking love it. It was so good. It was the only reason I knew that twist was coming. I mean, maybe I knew, but obviously I remember the ending from when I first watched it, that like she goes through all of this turmoil and then still gets sent to hell. I didn't remember the in-between parts. Honestly, watching this again, it was basically like a new movie. I genuinely don't remember like almost a single scene from the whole thing, except the end. I remember her being dragged to hell, but in my head, she was dragged to hell in her house on her staircase.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's weird how that just is transplanted to a different spot. But, I mean, I love it. I think the twist is great. If you're keen and paying attention, you would definitely know, like, oh, wait a minute. She didn't actually confirm the button was in that envelope. She just picked up an envelope with a round thing in it that's the size of a quarter. And you definitely could see it's coming, that, like, maybe she picked the wrong envelope.
There was just enough time after the end of like where something bad could have happened that like, they set up just enough for me to have bought into like, oh, maybe they did get away, but at the same time, like, this is running a little bit too long for this to have like a happy epilogue. Yeah, it's interesting in that, like, is there more than just a shock value? We just want to say like, oh, in the end she got fucked, but like, is it like this idea that, you know, passing on the curse to someone else really is almost like this metaphorical, like it wouldn't have saved her ever, like she needed to find a new way to deal with this curse instead of just like throwing it back at the one who cursed her, because that wouldn't solve her problem. It didn't solve her problem. I'm like, I don't know if that's I could read into something like that. I thought it was a surprisingly dark ending, but the movie, because like, it's not a funny ending. Like, it is the scariest probably like sequence, because like, it's like dawning on you, and she's not selling this as like, it's not funny, and her skin starts to melt. Like, it's awful.
It's actually for sure the biggest gut punch in the movie. Like, it's an actually heart-wrenching ending. It is like a truly tragic ending. You're like, oh my god, she went through all that. I had such a good time laughing and watching her struggle, and it's like, oh fuck, no, she actually got dragged to hell, and Clay just watched it happen, and he's like in utter shock and horror, and the movie just ends on his face, like tears streaming down his face, and he's in complete shock, and it ends. It's like, oh, okay, wow. But her being a rape victim survivor, an allegory for that, it does make complete sense, right? Like, it's the same thing how parents will talk about experiencing like losing a child. It's something that, like, no matter what you do, it will always be there. You know, if you survive a sexual assault attack, it's like, no matter what you do, you can't just pass this on to somebody. It happened to you, and now you have to live with this. It sucks. You can deal with it in other ways. But maybe the story is that, like, you can never just fully ignore something like that. You can't. Maybe vengeance isn't what you. Vengeance wouldn't help you in the end.
Last of Us 2, revenge is not the answer.
Right, sure, yeah. It's probably saying a few of those things.
I was really shocked by that ending. I really didn't think, and you think about what she did, and it's just like, her offense wasn't even that cruel in the, like...
No, to be dragged to hell for eternity? Fuck no.
And I think that maybe it's something to be said about, like, you don't know how insignificant that decision was, but how devastating it was for this group. And it wasn't like, there's almost the sense of like, it wasn't one person who was being displaced by this choice. It was this entire group, because, you know, they lived together.
But then I also think, if all those people are there and they all live there, how are you not scrounging up enough money to pay for your thing? So,
it is a little like, kind of like, you'd have to get some details. But I think if you just do like a surface level kind of like, what is it they're trying to implore to you, and it's like this, I don't know, actions have consequences, and, you know, really think about, like, just because it's that significant to you, it can be very significant for someone else, and, you know, doing what you can for someone else, or else they'll kill you. If you don't do the right thing, you will be sent to hell, and everyone will be cheering for you when that happens.
Yeah, that's mostly what I think. Is like, oh fuck, if I don't yield as this car is trying to get on the highway, I might literally die to this guy. So let's just
the Christian way
it's no problem.
Do the right thing, not because that's what feels good, but because if you don't, you'll go to hell. That's the classic.
Yeah, you will die and go to hell if you don't do the right thing. Basically what we're trying to say here.
All right, well, that's everything I had to say about it. I thought it was good. It was paced really well. I think I'm probably leaning where you are on there. Probably a 4. It's interesting is that, like, I find it more intellectually interesting this time around, but I wasn't as entertained because, like, I remembered the movie more than I thought I would. But I just love Sam Raimi's movies. There hasn't been one that I have seen besides Army of Darkness that I'm just like, I do not like this movie.
The third act of Drag Me to Hell is definitely the weakest. Surprisingly, like, the climax of her actually summoning the demon and trying to get rid of it was, like you said, I checked out in the same way, where, like, this stuff just doesn't really get me. Demon stuff, like when the demon is coming to her house and like fucking with her, and
that's, you know,
stuff. That yeah, that like, because it's more invasive, right? That's her home. She's like, this is your sanctuary. This is where you should feel safe. And so that kind of thing was more exciting as a viewer. But her going to this mansion and doing the whole seance and the demon summoning thing, I don't know. It was a little bit less interesting to me. So yeah, my only gripe would be that, like, I definitely, even while watching it, felt a drop in entertainment value during this sequence. Yeah. And then, of course, the ending is so shocking and harrowing that it kind of brings it back up. But the overall experience of Drag Me to Hell is so great that it's just absolutely worth watching. It is so entertaining and fun. And even the third act that's a little bit weaker, like, it's still fun. Like I said, there's moments that'll make you laugh, like the goat biting the dude's hand instead of being able, like, the guy's about to try to chop his head off and the goat's like, fuck you, bites him, and then now he's possessed. And, like, there's still wild stuff. It's still fun. It's just not quite as impactful and entertaining. Yeah, but I still highly, highly recommend it to anybody. It's just great vibes, honestly. It's like a great classic fun horror movie.
And because it's not a particularly hard horror, like, it's very easy to...
Yes.
I feel like non-horror people would get a kick out of this overall.
That's something I wanted to note, too, is that in the last, 5 years, this obsession with, like, horrific trauma-based, tragedy-infused horror, like, the Hereditaries of the movie world, like, I'm getting really sick of every horror movie trying to make you want to kill yourself. And so a movie like this, it's just a good time. It's really relieving.
Yeah, even with the bad
they ending. They don't make horror movies like this anymore. And if they do, they're fucking horrible because it's by, C-list, D-list directors that don't know what they're doing, and it's just not great. But, like, this is a high-caliber director making a really fun horror movie.
It's very interesting. Is like, yeah, you're right in the way that the atmosphere of a lot of modern horror is unpleasant, and intentionally so. Like, but you're right that they're this lighthearted kind of, like, it's I don't know. It's hard to articulate, but yeah, this atmosphere of it being kind of like you're supposed to be laughing and squirming, like it was.
It was so fun.
It's kind of like the way that, I don't know, I don't want to compare them to superhero movies or a blockbuster where it's designed explicitly to be entertaining and not necessarily a make you meditate on it, even though it has things to say. And I think that's what I think can be misconstrued, is that, like, you don't have to be serious to have serious things to say or to make comments on. And
yeah, true.
And that's why I think sometimes when people say, like, it's not that deep, bro, about you saying, like, me finding some kind of deeper, like, this movie's not about surviving sexual assault, but, like, I found that stuff in there in this movie that is designed to make you laugh and, like, squirm and stuff. Like, and that's what I think is really cool, is that the horror genre allows them to explore that stuff in a way that's almost like, I don't know, it's digestible, at least. It doesn't make you want to also suffer the consequence of dying by the end.
Or if you're a fucking numbskull like me, you don't even see that, and you just watch it like a stupid little boy who goes, peaky, barf, gross.
Yeah, exactly. And Kyle, isn't it fitting that there's so much bodily fluid in this, and it's about sexual assault surviving? See, look, that's another.
That's true. There is a lot of bodily fluid. The last thing I'll say is not about this movie, but another movie that is in the same vein as this, not quite so feel good, but is the Hellraiser reboot that came out in 2021.
Oh my god, I still haven't seen that. Fuck. I need to watch that.
That was the conversation we had, like, when we first started talking about doing a podcast years ago, was me saying, like, we were talking about Longlegs, and then I brought up the Hellraiser reboot is actually really fun, and it's definitely darker in tone, but I appreciate it in the same way that, like, somehow I kind of feel good watching it. Like, it's about this girl trying to survive this stuff, and there's some crazy, effects in it, and, like, it's a fun movie in a different way, but it's still really entertaining, and it feels more lighthearted than it should be. So this is my Drag Me to Hell review: is go watch Hellraiser 2021.
Is like, people always use this term, and it usually makes people turn off of the movie, but it's campiness. And I think that is what Sam Raimi is actually really well known for, is how much camp he puts in his movies. But it is that kind of, like, this is funny if you think about it. And like sometimes when you do it, it becomes a little bit like too cheesy or like you become too meta. And like there's different ways to do it. You lean into it too hard, but if you do it just right, it becomes just like this way of like, you know that they're aware of how absurd this is. It's still horrifying to watch, but we are all in on the fact that this is not real. But and like to just like enjoy it, and like it's supposed to be entertaining. It's not supposed to make you want to like cry or like close your eyes. You're supposed to watch this and laugh in some ways that it's very hard to get that, but it's campiness and it can be good. I used to be like horror has to be hard, straightforward violence only. I don't want any silliness, but as I've gotten older, that tone difference can be really good. And they don't have to, this movie doesn't make explicit jokes either. And that's the other thing that I think can be kind of weird to explain to someone is that
it's an absurdist movie. You laugh at what's being presented to you. Nobody's making jokes. Except honestly, like there are some jokes, but they're more traditional jokes. Like the fortune teller saying it's going to come at a great cost. What is it? $10,000. Like that is a joke. It's funny. But yeah, the way, that's not the through line of the movie for what makes it so funny.
And like the characters aren't laughing at it because like it's a joke written for people watching the conversation and not for the characters to be because like that like she may have like rolled her eyes a little bit. Like in real life, if someone did that, you may not laugh because it's not funny. But if you saw someone say that and like see that exchange, that is a humorous exchange. So like that weird like layer, like that's where I think why writing is a skill. It is not something you can just do, and why like so many people have to. When someone writes a book, they don't write their first draft. That's why in school they tell you have to do a couple drafts before you submit it to be graded, because those are the types of like little things that are really hard to get right the first time. Is that stuff? But yeah,
and then you also have to consider that like. How will this be filmed? How will the actors portray it? Will the director get it right? Yeah, there's so much to consider, but that's more of a meta discussion about movies overall. But yeah, this one it's absurdist. It's kind of Naked Gun style where like the actors aren't in on the joke, but what's surrounding it is so funny that the audience will laugh. That's kind of how it is.
All right, well, that's Drag Kyle to hell, because I'm not going.
Drag me to hell, not you.
Yeah. All right, well, until next time.
Go watch it.
Okay, bye-bye.
See ya.